I think with white womanhood, and that's something that I've done a lot of thinking about too, as a white trans man, you are given this concept of like purity, innocence, virginal, whatever. Like, you know, everyone should be able to defend you. And so if you don't unpack that, distance yourself from that, like do the work that you need to be doing, I can't imagine anything more frightening than like a white woman mentality in a white man's body. Because that is like the manipulation.
That's a bar. Bar. Eoin is so cute.
Oh, I love Eoin.
I'm like obsessed with him. You know, I'll post like his tattoo on my story or something, and I'll get like multiple DMs of people being like, I'm obsessed with Eoin. I'm like, bitch, me the fuck too.
Yes.
Such a sweetie. Oh my fucking
totally.
God.
And he's just like such a like indoor cat kind of vibe.
Yes.
I feel like someone who has like a big like online presence, sometimes you don't really expect them to be like, oh, I don't go outside.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't go to events. And so it's fun to get like that perspective of like, oh my God, there's so many people like that.
Yes.
I have to recharge after being out in the world. And I think that that's like the trans experience.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That was like such an amazing interview. The thing that I think like blew my mind was like some of Eoin's reflections on like white femininity and like becoming a trans masc person specifically. Totally. First of all, I love when white people like talk about being white, because I'm like, it's kind of this like ghost in the machine that like you just think because like whiteness has become the default that you don't need to talk about it. But it's like white people need to talk about being white and like what that means. And I feel like even when you maybe transition as like a white person, like all of those learned things don't go away, because like why would they? You know what I mean?
Totally. Like, it was so like next level like interrogation of his whiteness. Like I was like, this is so great. Because I feel like sometimes I'm in circles where people are like, white equals bad, the end. And you're like, totally, like that can be where we start, and then let's get like a couple levels deeper than that, because this isn't really helping anyone. This isn't changing anything.
And actually like moving from a space of guilt where you're like constantly like feeling so sensitive and on the verge of like being triggered is really not helping anybody.
Yes.
Like you would be such a more useful person in the world if you
literally
like engaged with that guilt and figured out like where it was coming from and like what you needed to do.
Process a little bit of that guilt yourself. That's your job.
No, it's literally your job. Instead of projecting it on other people anytime they like ask you like a question, you're like shivering in your boots, you know?
That's so crazy. Well, it's cool that we can use this moment to announce that we're doing another Gender Spiral book club with the book White Fragility. So if you guys want to sign up.
That's so funny. Could you imagine?
My name is Eoin McGraw. My pronouns are he, him. I am a trans man, a gay man, and a fucking faggot.
Amen. Amen.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. Oh, what about like in terms of what you do? Like,
just
a faggot.
Yes, just
work, faggot, life.
Losing brain cells by the day. I have worked full-time as a tattooer now for almost 8 years. And so I work here at this studio or on the south side of Chicago at In the Clouds. And I am self-taught, or basically just meaning I did not have a formal apprenticeship. So my entry into the industry was, I mean, it's becoming more common now, but it was pretty uncommon at the time. It was a lot of like skill sharing and just people generous enough to like share their time and knowledge.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very community taught, I would say.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay, so this is a question we like to ask all of our guests, but could you maybe take us through how you've come to embody your current gender identity? Like, what has that process been like for you?
It's been a process for sure. Because, I mean, even in tattooing, which is like, I feel like my even just queer identity is so related to when I started tattooing, because I actually didn't come out as like even gay until like 8 years ago when I started tattooing.
Wow.
I know, so crazy. So if you can imagine, actually, I loved the interview that y'all did with Pascal, like, because I so relate to her. I was like, I was a girl, like I was a girl, and then like, and then I wasn't.
Yeah.
And like, so, I mean, I was like a cheerleader, you know, and like competitive, state champion.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my high school claim to fame. But I mean, like, I was, you know,
so you're like a military sergeant, like you were trained, like you were in the military, is what you're saying, basically.
A woman. And I grew up having two extremes of like spiritual identity in the household. So it was like my dad's family's Irish Catholic. I'm confirmed in the Catholic Church. And then my mom grew up in rural Iowa in a really Christian family. And I think her coping mechanism for the trauma she experienced as a kid was like, I'm so spiritual. I'm this just like, you know, like whatever happens, happens. And I have my own thoughts on that. Like, for me, I would say like her interpretation of spirituality, well-meaning as it may have been, was like just as harmful for me as like the Catholic Church. It was because it was like the least accountable, least aware version of spirituality. It was just this sort of like way to bypass anything. And so I had like so much fear around the concept of being gay when I was growing up. And I was like, well, like, I think technically my parents would be okay with it. Like if I came out as gay.
Doing
like,
that math.
Yeah, I'm like, like what's holding me back? And I'm like, it can't be the indoctrination of the Catholic Church. We're like,
surely not.
Yeah. And then I also just kind of resented anything that wasn't that because of the way my mom acted growing up. But I have OCD, and so, oh my word, growing up, it was just like intrusive thoughts galore.
Religion and OCD is a tough pairing because I think about how kind of prayer is a little bit compulsive.
It is very.
You literally can have some beads that you're touching while you pray.
My mom does the rosary like every fucking day, like, and with all the beads, and I'm like, that's a compulsion, babe.
Like, that's a stim toy, baby.
Exactly.
Replace that with like the little rainbow slug. ASMR. You're like, honey.
So that must have been tough.
Yeah. So what's so funny is like, as like a young girl, I'm in church being like, okay, God can hear my thoughts. That's horrifying. And I'm like trying to like, air quotes, think straight thoughts. And the straight thoughts at the time were like, if you can imagine the like gayest looking like lumberjack bear man, like I was just like, yes, okay, God, see, I'm putting in the work. Like I want this work. Man. Like, hear it now.
Right.
I want this man. And I would just try and be like, don't think anything gay. Don't think anything gay.
Wow.
And then, you know, like the full fast forward is that like, I'm a faggot. So
yeah, but I was like, so now are you into that lumberjack?
Exactly. Were you like
heartbreakingly so?
Wait, what?
Yeah. So then she all circles around.
So the prayer was ansed though.
I
this is what it sounds like.
God.
It just looks like the journey was different, but
Catholicism is so gay. So just makes, if I'm surrounded by homoerotic statues, like,
oh my God.
It's not my fault.
Yeah. Then eventually I was like, I mean, I had boyfriends and stuff like that. And again, it was like Miss Girliana. Like I described myself then as like cunty Miss Frizzle because like I could turn a look, but like it was just kind of crazy, you know? And like when I came out as gay, the gender part had not clicked for me. So this was probably like 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. And I was like living with my boyfriend at the time. And I was like, I'm gay. Like, so I guess I'm a lesbian. Like, because in my heart, I just knew, and for me, gender and sexuality, though they are separate, they're like very layered together tightly for me as far as like how I understand myself. So I always have felt that I am like homosexual and love the bisexuals out there. Love you. I'm not bisexual. And I just have always felt like, no, it is like same type sort of energy. So
I know what you mean. I actually kind of get that. But I think in a way where it's like, I'm a little more fluid, but it's like, if I'm with a boy, I'm a boy.
No, exactly.
And if I'm with a girl, I'm a girl. Like it's like
this is gay either way.
This is either way. Yeah, exactly. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, because it hadn't clicked for me. I like the gender part at all. Like, I wasn't even in my mind like, maybe I'm non-binary. I was like, I guess I'm a gay woman.
Yeah,
right.
totally.
But I was like, but I love this person. I'm attracted to him. I like feel, I was so confused. And again, that's when I'm like, this poor person. I was so lost in the sauce of like my own understanding of my
totally.
So we broke up. Like, what do you do from there?
Yeah.
And then I had a brief stint in lesbianism.
We love.
And yeah, I mean, like, the grass is greener. So like, I had it good for a little while, and then was like, that's not my truth. But
wow.
Yeah, so 5 years ago, like, I'm of the pandemic egg crack. Like, pandemic egg crack. So in 2020, I was like, I think I'm either losing my mind or there's something transgender afoot. But I was in this relationship at the time that, like, when we met, we both identified as, well, even if there was some gender fluidity, like gay women, dating each other. And this is my own responsibility of like people pleasing and stuff like that. No one's asking me to do this, but I felt very like, well, I can't be too trans. Like, I can't be too this. Because
kind of reining it in.
Then I'm gonna like lose out on like my community of like lesbians. Like, I'm gonna lose out on this like. And I think as someone that grew up so fighting the concept of being a lesbian, when I did have, like I said, this brief stint in lesbianism, I felt very attached to it. I was like,
this is my thing. Yeah.
One. And so I was like, I came out as non-binary, and then a year after that, I started T, and I went into the doctor and was like, okay, I'm gonna microdose, like, what's low dose T? And they were like, well, we can start you with this, or we can start you with this. And I was like, oh, the higher one. Like, like, obviously.
You're like, I want a small dose. They're like, well, you could also do a big dose.
Yeah, they're
like, I can't.
I'm like telling my friends I'm like microdosing, and I'm like, how high can I go?
You're microdosing next day full.
No, literally.
Like,
so
I was the same way when I finally took T. I was like, oh, only injectable because it works faster, highest dose.
Yeah.
When you make that decision, I was just like, no, I'm 100 miles per hour.
Wait, so was that experience for you guys? Was it like you tried it and you were like, oh, turn this shit up? Or you were just like, I want to go in as full?
Max dose.
Oh, and you liked how that felt? Like, how did that feel?
I went immediately to a silent meditation retreat.
That's what I should have done.
But like, that tells me nothing. Like, did you enjoy that?
I am on a much higher dose of tea right now than when I started.
And how does that feel?
It feels good. Okay. Like, it feels good, but I'm like, do I have friends, community around me? Are we keeping Owen accountable? Like, how am I acting? Because
oh my God.
Like, I don't know.
That's really sweet. Like, that's your first thought of like, I don't know. I do feel like there's this narrative of like, you just become like uncontrollable on tea. And I'm like,
the case, but like, as someone with really fragile mental health, it's like,
that's real. Combining those two things.
Yeah, just like the extreme, and I'm sorry, like the demon horniness, like I just cannot handle. I'm like devastatingly demisexual, so I'm like, oh no,
me
like
too.
I have to know you. And then
me too. Wait, I did. Okay, before this episode started, we were talking about our dating struggles, and I do think maybe that is the struggle of like being demisexual. Be like, I have to kind of know your vibe.
But also, like, I want to hook up.
But I want to fuck. I want to fuck her. No, exactly. That's the issue.
Like, I'm biting my lip right now. I'm like, yeah, exactly.
That's so funny.
Oh my God.
It's like an anonymous hookup. They walk in the room, you're just there,
like,
and you're like,
so
are you reading any books right now?
Literally in New York. I'm like in the shower with this person, and then I'm like, so do you like New York? How long have you been here for?
I know.
I'm like, I just want to get to know you.
I can't do the anonymous hookup. I can't, but I so crave it. But I'm like, I need to know your vibe.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that wasn't everybody. Like in college, like my bestie was like, would be hooking up with people more often than I would be. And I would just be fascinated. I would be like, so like, how does it happen? Like, are you guys talking on the couch first? And then my bestie was like, you fucking freak. I'm just like going in and like writing their dick. Like, leave me alone. And I would be like, so like, did you like talk? Like when you were doing it, I realized I was like, yeah, exactly. And now I'm like, oh, I'm so demisexual. Like there has to be some kind of intro or segue. Like, yeah.
So I really have to treat my dating life like 12-step shit, because it is like that dopamine rush that hits me when I'm like, you're paying attention to me. This attention feels good, blah, blah, blah.
Or I'm thinking about you. I'm filling in a lot of blanks about you.
Fantasizing.
Projection, all of that. So like, I'm sober, and it's not like I'm like, this time's gonna be different with like drinking.
Totally.
I'm quite
take
certain.
it just as seriously.
Yeah,
as something
I'm like
that. Yeah.
But it's still in my mind with like more casual, even if it's like very thoughtful and lovely and stuff like that. I'm like, maybe this time I won't get attached after like 0.01 seconds. And it's like, I don't have a lot of data
that would be the case.
That would be the case.
Yeah.
But I still am just like,
Totally.
no, this will be the time. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to want to connect to humans.
It's very
and then-
tough.
Totally.
It's so tough. It's so tough. Yeah.
I'm so interested in like you kind of knew you were gay for a lot of your life, and then you were like absolutely gobsmacked to be trans. Like, that's really funny.
Isn't that crazy? Because so in the brief stint of lesbianism, circle back.
The lesbian vacation.
And then I exited that relationship that I was in when I came out as trans. And fairly soon, almost immediately after that exit, I was like, oh, I'm a trans man. And
Wow.
that was just like permission I was not granting myself. And again, no one was asking me to like,
no,
not be
totally.
that,
I know what
right?
you mean. Yeah.
But I was just like, oh. And then so like I raised my T dose and I had a 1.5 name. So, but then I got to Eoin eventually.
Oh,
as
we
my
love
2.0 name.
Yeah. You just want to float something
Yeah.
for a little
Yeah.
See how
bit.
it
You have to
feels.
try it
I
on.
honestly feel more dysphoric and like dead namey about like my like 1.5
With my name than like
Yeah.
before.
I'm like my like government name, fine. Like you guys can know
Whatever.
that, but like my 1.5
so
name, no.
funny.
To the grave.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, funny.
Wow. Yeah. And then I was kind of like trying to figure shit out. And then I was like, okay, if I'm a trans man, am I a lesbian? You know, because we out here, some people be doing that.
Totally.
Mhm.
And I was like, God damn it, I'm a faggot.
Wow.
Unfortunately for me.
Enter lumberjack.
Yeah, enter the lumberjack. And fortunately for me, I don't know. I'm like, I've done so much thinking about like manhood, masculinity, blah, 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 as a trans man. And then also, I just think I really have to tie everything into where I hope to bring like my political beliefs. So I do so much thinking about like masculinity through the lens of bell hooks, the will to change, and like even my hatred of men. It's like, okay, but men are not excluded from like our movements, and they can't be because then
No, we have to organize.
yeah,
with them.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
With
which
our
is
brothers, with our
complex
fathers,
and
yeah.
so hard and very
With our lovers.
With our lovers.
I can hate men singularly. I mean, I think everyone should have their misandry for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think that flattening it as like that's how you get to like second wave feminism or like the pink pussy hat.
Yeah.
Totally.
Men suck and women rule. Am I right, girls?
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like there are some.
But not you, girl.
Yeah.
Only
Yeah.
me, girl. And like
Yeah.
it's like
Exactly. And there's actually also some like really shitty women, like really shitty white
Yes,
women. You know, I think especially when it comes to like whiteness, like just being like white women rule and like white men suck. And it's like, I think it allows women to skirt by
Absolutely. I
their
mean,
complicity in that as well too. And like their shitty
Absolutely.
behavior. It's like, no, we have to think more like intersectionally
Yeah,
about
yeah.
like power and stuff like
Well,
that.
and
Yeah.
like, I think with white womanhood, and that's something that I've done a lot of thinking about too, as a white trans man, you are given this concept of like purity, innocence, virginal,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, you know, everyone should be able to defend you. And so if you don't unpack that, distance yourself from that, like do the work that you need to be doing, I can't imagine anything more frightening than like a white woman mentality in a white man's body. Because then it's like the manipulation.
That's a bar.
the-
Bar.
like the victim mindset of like,
Exactly.
oh my God, you know, just truly that manipulation. And so when I came out as trans and started to understand myself as a trans man, I was like honestly horrified at how much I still clung to the opportunity to be a victim. That was like really, really gross for me to realize, because at that point, you know, like I thought I had done like a certain amount of self-reflecting and like self-awareness and, you know, unlearning and learning and all the things. But like, I do remember this part in my transition where even though I was like very horrified to see it, there still was the feeling there of like, why doesn't everyone feel bad for me? You know, and I'm like, and because like I said, like I was a girl, a woman until I
Yeah.
wasn't. And that was my experience where like, even if you're ideologically fighting against that, in your back pocket, you always
have that
the
card.
Opportunity to do that.
Wow.
Which is
Thank you
so
for being
violent and
so honest about that, because that's very hard, and also explains a lot of my white trans past roommates who would like cry when I asked them to do the dishes. Like that is like, it just, and I knew that that's what was happening, but like, thank you so much for affirming that.
Oh my God, wait, I've been talking about this tweet that was like, if I can share it with you.
Please. Oh, of course.
A tweet that says, the 4 ages of white innocence, too young to understand, made a youthful mistake, listening and learning, and from a different time. And it's like, at no point in your life are you like actually just like, you've harmed. You are done. You have the capacity for very serious harm. Like we all do, you know, but like, especially those of us with the privilege of whiteness, access to that, the violence that brings. So it's like, I can't even navigate nor do I want to, my trans identity as someone where that part doesn't exist. Right. Because it fully does. Like,
you have to bring that with you and unpack that. Yeah. And that is very bell hooks. Like, we have to be thinking about that.
Yeah. And like, maybe for like me specifically, for other white trans masculine people, trans men, I feel like there's this like resistance to like actually claiming like man, like I am a man,
and it's boy,
and it's boy.
We love to skirt it with
like
boy,
T-boy, and this I will say like I'm bringing through the lens of whiteness specifically because I think it is like boyhood is very important. Who's allowed to experience boyhood? Who's allowed to step into that and like from birth versus even then like into their transition. But then as a white person, this kind of like I'll never be man, I'll be boy. Avoid accountability. I'm boy. That's as close as I can get to like.
Well, because then man can still be the enemy.
Yeah,
and you don't have to like embody that space. Yeah,
and like that doesn't. I'm not saying like, if you're transmasculine, you have to identify as a man. But I do think it is worthwhile to be like, what am I resisting here? What am I trying to still hold on to? What am I afraid people are going to think about me? And then also just that we like don't exist in a vacuum. So like quite literally, how do I exist in the world? You know, like I am the white man in Realtree at the gas station. Like that's how I exist in the world.
Like,
you know, so there's the parts of manhood and masculinity that we can pull from that are actually really beautiful. And one of those being perhaps, especially for myself growing up as a white woman, where that was missing was like accountability and like a very like dedication to being honest, to being
that's really beautiful,
you know, like and that's like an everyday project, like an everyday thing. But I had maybe a year ago,
your laugh is so cute. I have to say,
I had a summer where I was just like, I love men. And this is like, like at a faggot level, sure. But like, I was just like, men are actually like really beautiful people. And that was very hard for me to get to because like many people, I have a lot of trauma with men and I have a lot of like, whether that's family, whether that's like past abusive relationships, you know, like, I think that like going through a testosterone-based puberty with a fully developed frontal lobe is like so horrifying. And it gives you all of this like really gross empathy for cis men where you're like, yeah, dude, I don't know if I was 12 and this was happening and I didn't know what to do with all of that fucking like energy shit. Like
there's something to like when you're a teen and then you're going through puberty. So it's like not developed frontal lobe, but also all of like society being like, this is what we think about masculinity. These are like the rule. Like, I don't know. Yeah, there's just so much going wrong with that.
I don't think there are very few models of how to be like a good man. In this day and age. There's a lot of models of what not to be, like, but
I think this is really interesting too. And I love this like moment that you had where you're like, I really love men, because I think that's really missing. And I'm like, it's real, especially now I'm like having a air quotes son.
That's crazy.
Or absolutely having a son. So I don't know. I feel like I've also had like a big moment of being like, there's so many men in my life who I love so much.
Exactly.
Like these kind of like, I think that there's just like a lot of easy shots taken at men, and it is very easy.
I mean,
it doesn't go away.
To be very easy by the people we're trying to love.
Totally. But I'm like, some of the models, like if you ask men like what makes a good man, there's so many like with their full chest saying like crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, would die before anyone found them would. Or you know what I mean? Like, this like martyr selflessness where you're like, who's been to therapy?
Right.
Can we answer what a good man is? Like, be not these like wild Greek tragedy level extremes.
And I think the answer is usually like those who like wholeheartedly embrace their femininity. Like that's like what I'm
that
learning.
feels a little more complete. Like that could be
it's like you are a person, like a good person. Like
had women in your life enough to like value them as
beings, or like raised by women. Like I feel like the men like raised. I thank God every day that my father didn't have a father because like that man was raised just by women and it shows. Like he's just like so like no toxic masculinity in sight.
I mean, like, but so is Nietzsche. So I'm like, I don't think it
could go either way. It could go either way.
But a million sisters.
No, I think that's really right. And I think, bell hooks tells us we have to love your brothers and your fathers.
It comes back to bell hooks and the will to change, which for any of my trans dudes out there, if you haven't read it already, I think a lot of us have, but like it's men, masculinity, and love. And it's just like so impactful. It helped me move past like my own hatred for men, the concept of men. And just to realize that like, wow, this does not absolve like individuals of their own accountability processes and harm, and that being very real. Like, you know, femicide is real. Harm against women is real from men. And that's not saying that those things don't exist, but that the systems that produce this harm, I hate those systems. Men as a whole, I don't think I hate.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
The systems that are producing that, white supremacy, patriarchy, imperialism, capitalism, all of the things. I hate those systems and I hate what they produce.
But men also suffer from toxic masculinity.
Everyone does. Men suffer from misogyny.
Totally.
And that's like, they have not been given the tools to work through that. That's not an excuse for not doing the work. But it's like, you know, and then I also think too, stay with me here.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
This concept of like hatred of men can, in trans community, very conveniently like hamster wheel itself around to trans misogyny, because it's like man equals penis equals this, and I hate that.
Yeah,
it's essentially.
And then it's like trans women fall under that umbrella. Exactly. Of now I hate that, and then, so do trans men. So then
you're in your like, you know, women in femme space, and then there's like trans women in femmes that are like, okay for us, and then people are like, oh no, not for you. And it's like, you need to unpack your like weirdo attachment to genitals, one.
I know.
And like two, just this concept that like anyone that started from a certain point is inherently violent, or that like penis equals inherently violent. We are all working through so much trauma, but I do think that's where it gets sticky, because that's why trans feminine people and trans women are the most like at risk of our community, because you're not allowed femininity because you started over here. So I think if we just like softened where we're maybe starting with like men in general, then people that aren't men that are getting that projected onto them are not as at risk.
Totally.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You're in like a lot of hyper masculine spaces, though. I feel like with, do you still do a lot of bodybuilding, if I remember correctly?
So I do powerlifting and strongman.
Oh my God.
It would be cool to do bodybuilding, but I don't have it in me.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, what's the kind of distinction? Bodybuilding is like shows and pageants and like that building out like, stuff.
Oh my God. It would say, you're getting to like whatever percent body fat. There's no fucking way.
Got it.
And with at least powerlifting and strongman specifically, for me, it's more of like a tangible goal oriented thing. So I'm not just like, oh, this so that I look like this. I'm like, oh, this so that I can fucking lift like this huge amount of weight.
Yeah. Like kind of pragmatic.
Yeah, totally.
Trying to become like utility buff, because like I'm aesthetically buff. And for people that know me, they know that I'm not butch, you know. Like,
don't ask me to move that stove.
I mean, like even like hang a shelf, and I'm working on it, but you know, it's like, I want to be functionally buff, not just aesthetically buff. You know?
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, those are really, they're hyper masculine spaces, and then unsurprisingly, they're like the gayest spaces of all time. Because I think in powerlifting specifically, like there are queer environments for sure and gay environments, but like if you're going to just like any powerlifting gym, it's likely going to be a like straight environment with a lot of straight men. And I'm like, y'all are in love.
I think it's really cute.
It's really cute. And I'm sitting there and then I'm maybe a little early on this. I'm like, kiss.
Exactly. Do it.
Kiss on the lips. And then I was thinking like, okay, if you're growing up as a boy into being a cis man, at a certain age, it's like you're no longer allowed to touch your friends or have physical contact or any type of intimacy. But then the gym becomes this place where you can still have that. So there's these like really physically intimate relationships between men, but only in this space.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's so hot.
Yeah.
First of all.
I know the slightly repressed nature of it is what makes it a little hot. I'm like, yes, do it.
Oh
wow. I talked to a boxer who was talking about this, and he's also trans and was saying like under the cover of violence, men are allowed to touch each other. So if they're boxing, it's like you can slap someone's ass or like really hug them
slap
tight.
Their ass, hug them tight, like slap them on the back, be like yelling or whispering even in their ear.
Totally.
Like, what are you gonna do?
And just like talking about each other in this like loving way. Like they're just like, this guy's the best.
No, literally.
And it's like words of affirmation.
They're just boys.
I
mean, no, but they're not. They're also grown men. But
men.
we all have an inner child that is clearly like getting something from.
I mean, it's and then as someone where it's like I would say until my transition, most of my even just like friendships were pretty like. There was physical touch involved just in like embraces and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so my coach that I work with, the first powerlifting meet that I did, he was like, all right, like what kind of energy do you want? Like while we're going on the platform, what do you want? And he like slaps my back and it was like, like raw. And I was like, like I was like, actually you can't do that because I'm like really fucking gay and like no, that's not the place. That's time or place.
Oh my god.
Like but like this like big buff man like slapping.
Totally. What kind of energy do you want? Do you want your hands tied up?
No, I'm like, you can choke me. But also in that realm, all of these people are freaks. All of these people are like kink fetishists, and even if they know it or not, because it's like
about power.
It's also about pushing your body to the absolute
limit.
Physical extreme in a controlled environment. So it's like risk-aware, consensual kink. You're like, I'm going to the point where like I might pass out. I might
literally
piss my pants.
Exactly.
I might shit my pants. People are at that level, and like there's going to be blood involved and all of these risks and stuff, but it's like a risk-aware environment.
Wow.
This is the safest place for me to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you kinky motherfuckers.
That's so funny. The strong man. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
I mean,
I bet there's a Venn diagram that's like quite.
Well, yeah, I'm sure other people with the way that they see the world, they're like, this is just awesome.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is gay top to bottom. Like, this couldn't be gayer.
Well, what's so crazy, too, about the sport of strongman is it's an untested sport, so you can be on performance-enhancing drugs.
Well, okay, I was going to ask about this. How does T factor in?
So, in powerlifting, in most federations, I cannot compete. Because it's considered doping. Trans women are also not allowed to compete. And then there's a few federations where like the Olympic standard is that like, if a trans woman's been on hormones for so long and her T levels are below this, her estrogen levels are this, but that's, obviously so invasive and there's so many holes in that.
Right.
And then like also so many people that think they're cis or intersex, and there's just like such a variety.
There's a range.
Of levels that we all have. And there was actually a case brought to the Supreme Court in Minnesota for a trans woman that was like stripped of her title for a bench record in the state because of being trans, and she won. But then the USAPL was like, well, we're not gonna host meets in Minnesota anymore.
Wow.
So it's a very transphobic environment.
I know these bitches like people are just mad they fucking lost. Like they do all of this after they fucking like, bitch, you lost.
It's like you invent the problem and then you see it through. So of course they're like, well, if we allow trans women to compete, then like, there's going to be dudes that come in just to smash the record. And it's like, no, it's like the bathroom shit, where it's like, no, dude, like this person's just like trying to have a good time. They're like lifting stuff that makes them feel good and strong. Like it's also not that deep. Also, none of us are out here trying to set world records. We're nowhere near it. But also, there has to be room for trans people in sports to be excellent. Exactly. So it can't just be this like make myself smaller, make myself like I promise to not set any records or win any competition. Like because what happens then when someone does, because they're very talented,
totally,
and they've done the work, and like they're like a mutant like Michael Phelps.
Exactly. When Michael Phelps has biological
like on a
differences,
gender way, they're just it's like, you know,
totally
they're gifted with this thing that makes them very good at their sport.
Totally.
And so
have you guys seen that clip of Ben Shapiro talking about the doc he was trying to make? He was going to have a bunch of men like file under the women's code in sports to be able to like show how easy it is, and none of the men could stick to the things that they had to do. Like none of them would agree to go on hormones. He was like, oh, you just kind of have to dress a little bit feminine. They were just kind of like, maybe, but there were so many meetings you had to go to. There was so much that you had to prove, and to literally like find a doctor and go on hormones and go through each step that you physically have to do, that like all these conservative people are like, it's so easy. Snap your fingers, you are transitioned, and then you're winning the Olympics. And now what? And you're like,
no one's fucking
bitch,
doing
it
that.
takes so long to get a doctor's appointment even get on the books to get
and then
hormones.
To get to the quote unquote like levels of estrogen that you want you to be at. It's like,
yes, it's so crazy.
And by that point too, you are like factually like losing so much physical stamina and strength, especially in those early days of transition.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just so ridiculous. But there's a person in Canada, I forget which federation this is in powerlifting, but yeah, you know, they invented the problem. They said, well, men are going to sign up in the women, blah, blah, blah. And then to fucking prove their point that they invented, this cis man signs up in the women's division, like smashes all the records at that meet. And then it's like, see? And it's like, no, but you invented it.
Yes.
You saw it through.
And then you gave the okay to a cis man being like, I'm a woman, it's for an experiment.
I'm trying to prove a point. I'm trying to prove a bitch ass point. Like that,
totally.
And so, yeah, I mean, sports in general, and I feel like that's used as like this symbol for a lot of transphobic legislation and
people have always used that for absolutely everything.
So yeah, but in strongman, people do take performance enhancing drugs, or you can, not everyone. And a lot of cis women are on testosterone.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so it's like, in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, here's this gorgeous opportunity for like solidarity with trans athletes, because not only it's like, are you relying on something to have access to something that like trans people have to really fight for,
right,
to do your sport, which I'm saying like, you know, work, do the testosterone for the sport, absolutely. I think that is great. Bodily autonomy, go. Yeah. But then also the amount that these like pro strong women athletes receive online of harassment, I just so wish that the line was connected.
There's such a moment.
It's trans misogyny.
Exactly.
You're experiencing trans misogyny. People go, you're a man, you could never be blah blah blah, or you know, people like transvestigating them, like, and there's just like
transvestigating. I'm obsessed.
But there's like that connection's never made, and it's just this vacuum of people being like, women can look like anything. You guys are so mean, and it's like,
let's connect the dots.
Like connect it.
We're so close. We're literally so close.
Yeah. So I mean, I would love to see that happen. And there's a few like, you know, places in strength sports that are like genuinely very uplifting for queer and trans people. It's like, it's not that it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Rain City Fit in Seattle is one that I would point out as someone that like, you know, there's so many trans people that work out there, and trans trainers, they like have their own powerlifting union so that trans people can compete as whatever gender.
That's cool.
You don't even have to compete as a gender. So, you know, there's people doing a lot of good work out there. Shout out to Liana, but
we love
powerlifting. How does that kind of factor into like your sense of gender? Like, are you like, I just want to be fucking strong? Or are you like, oh, this helps me feel like more masculine? You know what I mean?
It started out as like, I just want to be strong.
Yeah.
And then when I got top surgery, I kind of felt finally like more comfortable in the gym, to where I was like, I think I can really like move my body in the ways that I want to. But honestly, growing up doing competitive cheerleading,
you were in the military once again. Yeah.
That was such a big part of my life.
Yeah.
And so I was just like always in my adulthood being like, I wish I had this outlet, you know, of something that like pushed me to that extreme, and like where I could like train as an athlete.
The cheerleading to strongman pipeline.
I know. No, I'm like, I need to know, are we out there? And I also believe
I'm sure
there is definitely like a cheerleader to trans man pipeline. I'm factual.
Sure.
I've talked to people about that.
Totally.
But now it's like, it's so interesting because, you know, I come out as trans and I'm like, oh, I'm shedding all of these toxic beliefs that I had about my body as a woman. Now it's like, cystic acne on my back. Okay. Like, I'm like, guess that's just part of it. Like I could not care less outside of like, it's uncomfortable. There's so much about my body that would have horrified me 10 years ago that I'm like, I don't even think about now. But what's also cursed is that now as a gay man, there's like this pressure of like, are you this or are you that? Are you this or are you that? Like,
you've entered the grid.
I've entered the grid.
Wow.
And then I'm like, no, not the toxic body stuff. I thought I left that behind. And so I do feel this like certain amount of pressure as like a gay man specifically to like look a type of way or present a type in order for people to like blink twice
to be legible or like seen as attractive.
Well, I wanted to ask also about tattoo. How did you start with that? And is there anything kind of like body mod about tattooing that feels trans to you?
Extremely.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So I started tattooing from home out of my apartment. I was like saran wrapping pillows. And I mean, do not do that, by the way. Like, there's many more resources out there for you now. That's not how to get started.
Like, not on an orange or whatever.
No, I mean, on an orange. But maybe like not saran wrapping the pillows on your bed and being like, that's good.
That's sterile.
Exactly. That was a long time ago, folks.
Wow.
But I was like serving and food running in restaurants. And then one of the restaurants that I was working at, after I'd been doing some stick and poke tattoos for my apartment for a while, but one of the regulars at this restaurant was like an owner of a really well-respected shop here in Chicago. It's since closed, but at the time, it was like a lot of artists came through to guest there. And I, out of sheer delusion, like sent an email and was like, I was just like, hey, I deliver your bacon. Like, I also tattoo out of my bedroom. Can I work for you? And for some fucking reason, they were like, we're not hiring, but you can come guest with us. And so they like allowed me to have like a little mini guest spot.
Aww,
and I like brought my tattoo supplies in like a fucking grocery bag. Like, I'm so horrified thinking back on it because this was like the big shots. Like,
totally.
But that vote of confidence in me, like that really opened the door to like meeting other tattooers. And then quite honestly, because I was there, it was like people were willing to give me the time of day or take me seriously because it was like, oh, you worked here. Oh, you have like a guest spot here. And it was like, I could make connections from there. And then I used to run a cooperative studio with a few artists here in Chicago for 3 years. Then I moved to LA, was there for 3 years. Tattooed Allie.
Yeah. Full chest piece.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then, now I've been back here in Chicago for a year. Thank goodness, because LA's not for me.
I was going to ask.
I'm curious about that. When you say LA's not for you, I mean...
I'm such a self-isolator. And so like in that city already, it's like I fucking love New York City. I don't know that I could ever live there, but what I love about it is that like even in my alone time, there's people everywhere. Yeah. So it's like I really value alone time, but I need to be forced into like face-to-face interactions during the day. And in LA, it is so easy to just like you're just in your car.
Weeks go by.
And it's like I also am just like built for miserable weather. And so the heat and the constant sun was like really alarming.
It was just like beautiful every day. And you're like, that's enough.
It's like, and the next day and the day after that.
It's like, this is not representing what I feel on the inside right now.
It made me feel like, oh, I can't rest. I can't take naps. I can't, like, and I think in Chicago, you're so like.
When it's hot, it's like you have to go outside. You have
sunny,
to do something.
Like, be productive and blah.
Yeah.
To be in an environment where it's just that every day, I was like, what do I do?
Wow.
And also I kind of feel like suspended in time, like without the seasonal changes, because I'm realizing that I do need that like periods of renewal and rest and decay and rebirth. And in LA, I felt like I was kind of in a sensory deprivation tank.
Oh,
wow.
I'm sad.
I get that.
I had a bad time in LA.
No, totally.
But that's again a personal problem. It was the mental health, the financial shit.
Yes. Well, that's some of the thing is I'm like, there's some of these like queer haven cities that are so expensive. Like we're literally coming from New York and LA. And I'm like, there's so many other cities.
Babe,
specifically
I'm
like
coming
Midwest.
from New Haven, Connecticut. Don't get it twisted.
The queer haven
of New Haven. Exactly. No, they're so fucking expensive.
Yeah. And so I am interested in like, I don't know if Chicago's any cheaper, or if it feels like there's more ease
it's getting more expensive for sure. But I feel like I can just at least I'm like knocking on wood. I'm like, I have the blessing of like survival. Like my survival needs are met. And I did not feel that way in Los Angeles.
Totally.
So my survival needs are met here. I can do more with my art because of that. And I also just have a lot more like community and loved ones here. And I don't know, I'm a Chicago guy, so I'm just like a Midwestern dude, and I like being around other Midwestern people.
Everyone is so sweet here.
We were staying at this hotel and I got in the elevator and a guy went, wait, what did he call me?
He said, hey, buddy.
Yeah. Hey, buddy. And then he's like, did you like breakfast? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, what did you get?
Oh my God.
And I was just like,
you're like, I'm sorry, a conversation.
No, I was just like,
I love
this
it.
is crazy. I feel like I'm at church camp again. But it's everywhere.
You know what it is? It actually does remind me of church a little bit, and I kind of love that.
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah.
I just
like,
grew up around a bunch of Black elders, and it's like you have to go say good morning, go to everyone, go through, say peace be with you at the handshake.
Totally.
Like, and I do think like in these kind of like queer haven cities, like New York and LA, like unless you're like from those places, sometimes you kind of miss a little bit of that. Like I know all of the neighbors on my block in New Haven because I walk my dog, and like I love that. Like I love that. That's so important to me.
Being able to say hi.
Just
versus
saying hi
like
every morning where it's like a part. Yeah. Like LA, it just feels like, everyone's getting in their car and they're going. Like, I love that shit here. I'm so into it. I'm like, I get it. I'm
There's
into
also
it.
like stuff to do that's not so nightlife centric. And like, I think as a sober person, I don't mind going to like the bar and the club. That's a lie. But I don't mind going to the bar and the club for drinking and drug. Like, that's great. Y'all have fun.
Right.
I'm just like anxious and very self-conscious. And when you're sober, you can't numb that shit out, unfortunately. Yeah. So it does make the thought of like being human in public a little less appealing to me. But here there's like stuff that you're able to do that's not just like at the club.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like in LA, at least, so much of even just queer events are so nightlife centric, or it's so like it's gonna be this event once a month. And it's like versus here it's like come over and make dinner, like that is like definitely a necessity for me.
There's like one queer event in all of LA event landscape. I feel like that's a daytime hang in the park called Dyke Day during Pride. And I'm like,
the one day a year.
Picnic vibes and everybody's there and it's so
we
cute.
need this weekly.
Yeah, I'm just every year. I'm like, how do we do more
can
of
this
these?
happen more frequently than once a year? Like, that's crazy.
I'm like, let's play cornhole. Like, I don't know why we always have to have like industrial like chains falling Arca music pounding. Like, don't get me wrong, love the girl.
Love that vibe.
But I'm like, being able to like chat like at a microbrewery. I'm like, let's bring a little bit of the straight culture over here.
Maybe they're on to something. You start playing hacky sack.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But I'm curious, when did you get your first tattoo?
I got my first tattoo when I was 18, and it's on my ribs because I was like, oh, it's going to be so cute and cunty.
Yes.
It's a bird cage with birds flying out of it.
Yes, you ate that. You ate that up.
And then it says, not all those who wander are lost.
Yes, you ate that up.
Which is a Lord of the Rings quote.
Is it?
By the way. Yeah, it's from Strider's poem.
I had no idea. That's so, wow, incredible.
Important.
Yeah. Really.
So for listeners, Eoin is like pretty heavily tattooed and they're all fucking gorgeous, but it's like layers of tattoos on your arm. Like, when did you were like, oh, I'm like into this. Like, I really want to like.
When I started tattooing, I probably had maybe like 8 tattoos, but it was, like here and there on my arms mostly. And I loved tattoos. Like growing up, I definitely dreamed about being a tattooer, but I wasn't the type of kid that like hung out in tattoo shops. So I was kind of like, oh, I don't know the path for me into this industry.
There's a type of kid who hangs out in
right. I'm like,
there are. No, but there are.
Oh my god. Yeah, you would know now. Oh my god.
Anyways.
Okay, sorry. I'm trying to picture this kid. I'm like, okay, hard as nails.
Okay, I wasn't even like the teen. That
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, totally.
But when I started tattooing, I think being self-taught too, like before I started tattooing, I had this like aesthetic in mind of like what I wanted all my tattoos to look like. And then which was like line work, floral, like all of this stuff. Because again, this was a different life.
Yeah.
And then when I started tattooing, I kind of just like let all of that go. And it was like, if you're willing to talk to me, if I can ask you questions while you tattoo me, then I'll get tattooed by you.
Whoa.
And so it was like, whatever your style is, obviously, as long as like to my knowledge, you're not a terrible person. And, this, I don't completely hate what's being tattooed. But it was, other than that, it was like, I am completely releasing myself from like aesthetic preference. And I just want to learn.
To have some variation. Yeah. And to learn. Wow, cool.
Oh, like learning by people tattooing on you, kind of like seeing what they're. Yeah. Oh, I get it.
So
okay.
To, like sitting there because also like without having a formal apprenticeship, pretty much the only like active audience you can get with a tattooer is paying them to get tattooed.
Got
so
it.
Like,
wow. So you can see what they're doing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Like that. Okay.
And then there's some people where if you ask them about tattooing, it'd be like, get out, So you'd be like, okay, is this person okay with me asking questions? And or it's like, will they be okay if I tell them I tattoo from home, or will that be the like, get out?
Oh my God,
like,
totally.
And so then I also, I've tattooed myself so many times. My left arm, I'm right-handed, so I've tattooed my left arm all over the place. My left leg is like my trash leg. It's like my practice leg.
So funny.
So I've kind of like relinquished my body to the tattoo gods as like a learning vessel, which I'm very at peace with.
Yes.
But aesthetically, I'm kind of like, meh. Like it's it wasn't the original fantasy, but I still think it works.
Yeah, totally.
I think there is kind of, you do have to at some point, I feel like, let go with tattoos a little bit. Totally. And for me, it's been the sense of like blowout and like some of my tattoos just changing. And I've had to kind of relinquish some of that control where I'm like, I want it to look exactly like this. It's like some tattoos don't turn out like I have a couple shitty tattoos that I got when I was like 20 and they have not turned out the way that I would have liked them to. And like, I still like, I still carry my tattoos pretty heavily, but I do like the idea of like, I don't know, just like letting go a little bit.
Part of it is like letting go. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
don't have tattoos because they're like, that's on your body forever.
It's
And
like,
you're
and?
like, and you're here for like the blink of an eye.
Right.
Like not to get
it just doesn't matter.
It's like you'll have liver spots.
Yeah,
and I'll have tattoos.
Exactly.
But also to what you're saying, it's like there's such a fine line, I think, as someone in the industry where it's like, yes, tattoos age, they're always going like, quite literally because of the application process that tattooer is doing, it is outside of your control.
Yeah, exactly.
What the end result looks like. That's a lot of trust to put into someone. But then as a tattooer, it is my responsibility to create a piece that will age as well as it possibly can. What's really frustrating is that there's so much harm perpetuated in tattooing, as far as like onto clients, like their physical bodies. That's like, and I think it's quite related to medical racism and anti-Blackness. There's all this misinformation in the industry. And then even to like, it's just if you were to tattoo every person the same exact way every single time, regardless of who's coming in, half those tattoos will fall out and half those tattoos will scar. Like every person is so
just different. Their body's different.
That you have to like get to know the skin for the first like 15 minutes. And then you're like, okay, here's what we're working with. Here's how I'll like keep going.
Wow. Cool.
I know other folks who like only also get tattooed by like only like other Black folks and like just like things like that. And I'm like, oh, I totally get it because like you're just putting so much trust in this person. And so I'm still trying to figure out like my thing. I think now it's like people who I like would be friends with.
Yeah.
I think is maybe the vibe where I'm like, am I comfortable speaking up? Am I comfortable coming back and doing touch-ups? Am I comfortable doing all those things? So I think that's my new guiding principle. I'm trying to do friends, like people I would be friends with or like become friends with through tattooing.
Totally.
Yeah. It's like artists that redistribute some of that power, as much as possible back to you, because there's a power imbalance when you walk in the door.
Yeah.
So it's my responsibility as an artist to redistribute that power back to you and say like, hey, we can move this even a centimeter, or we can like tilt this, we can re-stencil this.
You can do anything, right?
As many times as you'd like.
Yeah.
Totally.
And like continue to check in or like follow, like, and this is very much informed by the work of my friend Tamara Santabanez. They work out in New York City. They wrote this book called Could This Be Magic? The Radical Potential of Tattooing. And it's just like kind of tattooing as liberation work, but also like what are our responsibilities as artists if that's the case and how we're approaching the practice.
Wow.
And that's like, if I'm offering you water, I get you the water, I follow through on it, so that like you then have been shown that like I've listened to you and I did the thing that I said I was going to do, so that when I'm asking you like, hey, do you want to make any adjustments to this, it's like we have to build that trust with our clients. And unfortunately, that's not an industry standard behavior.
I know, it's really not. You're a twin.
Yes.
What's it like being a twin?
Oh my God, I can't believe that I have not talked about her until right now. Sorry, Eoin. It's amazing being a twin. So we're identical twins, which means like one cell split into two. So that's why I am the way I am. I've never been alone in my whole life.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
but we're super close. I mean, we were at each other's throats in high school for sure because we like shared clothes, had the same friends, and it was just like, get your own life, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
But we also had like really shitty friends in junior high and high school that would like pit us against each other and be like, I'm only inviting you.
That's evil.
Oh my
Or like, you're my favorite twin right now. And then instead of Eoin and I being like, y'all are fucking tools, we would be like, Andrea said I'm her favorite twin right now. You know, like we would we just like twist the knife basically.
Yeah.
And so there were struggles in like high school era, but
wow.
We're 32 right now, and so we're like closer than we ever have been. And it is wild as a trans person to have an identical twin because there's this.
And your twin is not trans,
no,
right?
She's not allegedly not trans.
So she says
she's allegedly cisgender. Definitely on like a gender journey for herself, and love that for her.
Yeah, you were the trans half of the self.
Yeah. We joke that like we each hold like qualities of like what would make one like healthy, complete person, but like. We have just the same affect. So like it really freaks people out.
Wow.
And like if she were here next to me and she were talking, you'd be like, oh my God, y'all are the same person. Which is so crazy because after transitioning, in my mind, when I see her and hear her, I'm like, that's me. That's what I look like.
No, totally.
That's what I look like. That's what I sound like. And then I'll like see a video of us where I'm speaking and she's speaking and I'm like, oh my God. Wait.
We look so different.
We look so different. And I also sound different, you know?
But also kind of crazy to be able to see like what you would look like
what you would
as
age
you
like.
aged. Like, wait, that's insane.
And like, love you, Eoin. You are your own person and you are not just like a vessel of what I could have looked
yeah,
like.
totally.
But no, that's absolutely how I'm like, this is so crazy. And there's the frustrating part for me is like, I'm like, I was turning it as a girl and like so
no, I was eating the girls up. Like that's so
she's
funny.
So cute. Like she'll like put on a little outfit and I'll be like, I would look so good.
Oh my God. Wait, I'm obsessed.
We like never
so
fight
funny.
anymore. I like healed so much of our relationship because I think as twins especially, there was so much just like projected, you know, stuff on us where we had so much animosity of like
totally
you're too much like me or you're too, you know, I need to be different. And then honestly, even on a body level, like really toxic, just like, you know, ED shit where it was just hard because people are constantly
comparing you
to this other person.
Totally.
And then after coming out as trans and later into my transition, I'm like, there's just so much relief where I just get to be her brother.
Yeah, very cute.
That's beautiful.
You became fraternal.
Yeah, I know.
So funny.
What I love is like gagging someone that's like not ready for it. And they're like, oh, you're fraternal twins. And I'm like, no, we're identical. They're like, the Uber driver's like,
That's amazing.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
On a gender level, the other thing that I've been thinking about lately is my relationship with my dad and caretaking. So I help with caretaking for my dad. He got COVID 3 years ago, has long COVID, dementia, like it was like the switch of a flip. So it's been a very, very, very huge adjustment over the last 3 years. But I've also medically transitioned in that time period. So as I'm home now, because he's still in the Chicago area, it's like, you know, I was so worried that it would like freak him out that I was like, I have a beard now and I this, that, because prior to him getting sick, he was kind of emotional. He's a Scorpio. He was like really like, he'd like cry about it. And like, you know, he would like verbally be like, I support you. But then like, and I'd be like, but you're crying because I'm like getting rid of my tits. Like, I kind of hate that. That's really
totally. You should share that with someone else.
Yeah.
Right. Have those feelings. Yeah. I'm not the one to share them with.
But like, now it's like, I don't mean to put like a silver lining on like immense suffering, but like, because there's just other shit we have to worry about.
Wow.
I am just his son. Like, he's like, this is my son, Eoin. It's like, it's almost as if the inability to do that is full of like, just emotion and ego and all of the things, but with all those stripped away where it's like, girl, have you eaten today?
Yes.
Have you showered in the last week? You know, it's like all of these things that we need to do to make sure he's taking care of himself. It's like, I'll go to the store with him and it's like, this is my son. Like, it's not.
Wow. There's less brain space to like, you know, just be like so cycling about it. Yeah.
This really interesting relationship to have with like caregiving and caretaking, and then my dad, and then also
masculinity, aging.
And then too, it's like he, you know, his beard's growing out and that's one thing he's really self-conscious about. And he's like, Eoin, can you help me shave my beard? And I'm like,
oh my God.
can I? Like,
Right.
and so I fucked him up. It was so sad. It's not sad. Like, it's genuinely haha funny. Like, it is.
No, that's funny as shit. Sorry.
It is like, I was like, I can do this. And his clippers are terrible. And I'm like, okay, well, here, I'm going to put a guard on. And, you know,
Yeah.
I was like, well, how do you shape like an old man's beard? Because his skin is saggy and like, you know,
yes.
like, what are you working with?
Yeah.
And it just like kept getting shorter. And then it was like, oh my God, just like no shape to it at all. And then he's like, Owen, what have you done? I'm like laughing, crying, you know, like all the things, like what's going on. But his beard has now since grown out again. And it's something that brings him a lot of shame. But I am like, this is so gender affirming for me to know that like it is in my bloodline. I can grow a beard like that.
Totally.
Like,
Totally. Oh my God, that's so funny. You're like on YouTube
that's
tutorials being like, how to shave a beard.
I need to do that. Because I was like, I'm so sorry. You never taught me to do this. So.
Right. Whose fault is this really?
Yeah.
Whose fault is this really?
It is on you.
Thank you so much to Eoin. If you're in the Chicago area, be sure to go book a tattoo with him. The info on how to do that is at his Instagram at Eoin_McGraw. And Eoin is spelled Eoin. We also have it linked for you in the show notes.
Gender Spiral is an original podcast from Audiation. This episode was mixed by Matt Noble. Theme music is composed by Chanel Kirchlow, remixed by Daria Lord. Additional music by Command Jasmine, courtesy of Molten Heart, with art by Joey Hahn and graphics by Michael Tyrone Delaney.
The show is executive produced by Ireland Meacham, myself, Babette Thomas, and my co-host Ali Beardsley, along with Sandy Smullins, with some additional story editing from Susie Armitage.
If you want to help us out, you can rate or review us wherever you're listening to us right now, and follow us on Instagram at Gender Spiral to get notified about new episodes.
And be sure to support us on Patreon at patreon.com/genderspiralpodcast. For $2 a month, you can get access to our Discord community. Higher tiers will get you exclusive bonus content, plus gifts from us like these cute little monthly postcards and free merch.
You can also check us out at genderspiralpod.com, where you'll find transcripts for each episode and a link to leave us a voicemail. And you can shop our merch store.
Audiation.